Hey Hofstra fans, and welcome inside this week's edition of the WB Mason Coaches Report. I'm Tom Brady, once again the pleasure of being joined by the head coach of the Hofstra women's soccer team, Simon Riddiough. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tom.
Now Coach, this past weekend, a tough weekend, started off with a 3-2 loss against Housen. Tell us about that game.
Yeah, we got off to a nice start, 1-0 up, and then we kind of took the foot off the gas and allowed Towson to get back involved in the game. I thought at 1-0 we were controlling things, but give credit to Towson, they kept battling away, and we gave them a sloppy first goal, and they continued through that momentum. At 3-1 up, we started becoming a bit more desperate, and we started playing some good stuff for the last 30 minutes, but by then it was a little bit too late.
Now it seemed like they scored two of their goals off crosses in front. Maybe your team seems like it's been a little bit vulnerable on cross balls, and what do you think about that?
It was just both. The first two goals were from interceptions, which left us in bad positions, and the third goal was we had a double team in the corner, and for some reason the player managed to get through it, and then when she got through, it was just a matter of finding that extra person. I don't necessarily think we're vulnerable to crosses, although all the goals this weekend were from crosses. It's just they were great finishes from Towson and Mason. And when players get into that zone where they're finishing those type of chances, then you've got to tip your hat.
Now, how tough was it for you to try to get your team over that loss and get them ready to face a very good George Mason squad later in the weekend?
Well, again, the issue we have at the moment is we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're finding ways to lose or grant other teams victories, and this is no disrespect to the other teams because they've worked hard and they've done everything possible to put us under that kind of pressure, and it's succeeded. But we feel that performance-wise we don't deserve to be in the position we are, but due to a lack of concentration and focus from individuals as a team, it's affecting our results. So we had a pretty in-depth chat at the end of the Towson game, and on the Saturday we discussed certain aspects about what we need to do to change. And to be fair to the players, I thought Saturday they responded very well. And on Sunday the warm-up was very good, the preparation was top class. And I think when those things occur, and you get the endeavour and enthusiasm and energy from the team, it's always going to be difficult to lose those games. But again, we've got to credit George Mason, and they got one quality chance that second half and put it away. And that's been the story of our season. Mason's a good team, they play a good style, and it was a good game. But again, I only thought they looked dangerous in the first half a little bit, but the second half at one time, and they unfortunately affected the result.
That game seemed kind of like a defensive stalemate before they got the late goal for the 1-0 victory. What do they do to help frustrate your offense?
Well, again, they were a little bit deeper than most teams, which causes us to create space in other areas. And to be fair, we had quite a few set-piece situations around the 30-yard area, which is usually one of our most strong points. And for whatever reason, whether it was the distribution, the service of the ball, or whether it was the timing of the run, we didn't get that going. I know Courtney Breen scored off a deep free kick, but she was considered offside, which may well have been offside. It's inconclusive, the video, so you can't really question anything. So, Mason worked hard. They put us under a lot of pressure in their defensive half. They got numbers around the ball, and when that happens, you're always going to find it difficult to break it down.
So now, on a little bit of a slide, but is there any better game than to try to go up against the top dog in the conference this week with a matchup against 6-0 William & Mary?
Yeah, I always say that with this team, particularly this year. Our best performances have come against the best teams. We've played well against Texas Tech, we played well against Columbia, played well against Harvard, James Madison, and I can't expect anything different when we face William & Mary. They're a very good team. They're ranked right now. The coach is legendary in the women's soccer game. So it's going to be a challenge, it's going to be difficult, but I know if the girls work hard and we prepare properly from starting today, then we'll be a battle for anybody.
And what jumps out at you from that William and Mary team that has made them so good this season?
They've got a good balanced attack. They're scoring goals from different players. They've got some signature players as well. But they're rotating the forwards, and William and Mary traditionally have been good offensive team, and this is in the typical William and Mary mold.
You also got Old Dominion at the end of the weekend, another team that's right now in the top 4. How important, though, is it to have both of these games at home before you have to go out and finish the season with 3 on the road?
Well, you like to play the best teams at home. There's a certain comfort there. Old Dominion, again, we know are good. The coach is another legendary coach. I think both coaches are in the top 20 or even top 10 historically in the wins column. They're both very, very good. And the Old Dominion coach I'm very good friends with, so I'd love to beat him. But not in any sense of malice. He's a great guy. So I'm expecting both teams to be well coached, both teams to give us different breakdowns and different systems to look at. And it'll be a tough weekend, but we're at home. We need to bounce back. We've got the right attitude amongst the team now, and I think we're ready to go.
Do you think this team has put last weekend behind and they're ready to focus on this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. We'll find out today. But I thought the Mason game was a nice stepping stone for this team. I thought it was a good game where we gave 100% for 90 minutes. The result wasn't where we needed it to be, but the endeavour and attitude was top notch. And that hasn't been the case for the previous 2 weeks. We got away with a couple of wins, we struggled with a couple of losses. But it wasn't through lack of talent or team or ability, it was just through lack of application. Sunday we applied ourselves well, and I think that's a good stepping stone, and I think it was a nice foreshadowing coming into this weekend coming up.
All right, well, Simon Riddiough, head coach of the Hofstra women's soccer team, thanks for joining us here inside this week's edition of the WB Mason Coaches Report on GoHofstra.com.
Thanks, Tom.